If Tears of the Kingdom is an apocalypse that truly terraforms the Hyrule we all know and love, then there have to be casualties. And what better death to motivate us than the destruction of Rito Village? What brought this theory on was the appearance of Teba's son Tulin in the latest Tears of the Kingdom trailer. It's rather conspicuous, unlike Unibo who simply isn't present. It seems that Teba has been replaced by his son. Why would he be the only champion descendant to have been explicitly replaced? Well, the basics of my theory are this. When Ganondorf uses his magic to terraform Hyrule, a tragedy occurred at Rito Village during the metamorphosis of the land. I mean, Rito Village doesn't look like the most sturdy place in the world. In fact, with no firm ground support, it's entirely likely it's collapsed. And Teba, whose role as the village protector, would have stayed behind trying to get every last Rito to safety, leading to his death. Now, what most people are probably thinking is that Teba may have died in battle and the village is fine. But this would be a terrible idea from a storytelling and narrative perspective, and I'd like to explain why. Many writers across every medium make the common mistake of caring too much about their characters. It's an understandable mistake to make, as they've created every aspect of their characters, written every line and slaved away at continuing their stories for years, so understandably, they've become too invested in them. And what they fail to realise is that the audience isn't as engaged with them as they themselves are, because the audience has only known these characters for a few hours at most. There are exceptions. For example, I get a cold shiver when I think about a Straw Hat dying, but that's because the author has given me so much time with those characters that I've become invested in them. However, this problem is many times worse when put into an open world game. Because you're giving the player control over how much time they spend with the supporting characters, if they decide to explore for 10 hours in between every mission, they're likely to forget the names of every character. Rockstar understands this, and that's why they killed John Marston, because he's the only character that every player is invested in, and Breath of the Wild is one of the most open games in history. I bet some of you only just remembered who Teba was when I brought him up in this essay. The long and short of it is that killing any side character in Tears of the Kingdom will have absolutely no effect on the majority of players, because only a small percentage of them will even care about the narrative in the first place. However, there is a reason that Nintendo might simply kill Teba and leave it at that. I said before, it's a common mistake that writers make to get too invested in their characters. Well, to be honest, it's not like Nintendo's writers are the most talented bunch. All the moments of wonder I can think of from Nintendo games were birthed purely from the minds of their game designers, and Nintendo writers are absolutely the type of creators to still be making rookie mistakes. I mean, they're my favourite publisher by a mile, but I'd trust Ubisoft to deliver a satisfying narrative before I trusted Nintendo. But I just praised Nintendo's game designers, and there's a way that they can motivate me, the player, into hating Ganondorf. As I said before, Breath of the Wild is one of the most open games in history. The majority of your time is spent exploring the wilderness, which makes moments when you're surrounded by people all the more special. The towns in Breath of the Wild represented a peaceful place where no monsters could attack, and you could let your guard down and feel the soothing atmosphere wash over you. So what better motivation could there be than taking one of those unique areas away from us? Rito Village in particular is the most tranquil of all the settlements in Breath of the Wild. A winding design, a comfy yet gorgeous view, and more children than anywhere else in Hyrule. So it would be such a sting to take that location away from us in Tears of the Kingdom, because Breath of the Wild isn't a game where you forge connections with characters, you forge connections with locations. From a gameplay perspective, Tears of the Kingdom has revealed the underground caves to explore. To me, the most logical place for them to be would be underneath the Hebra Mountains, and the Rito Village Basin would be the perfect location for Link to enter from. Perhaps the basin has drained and spilled out into Tanagar Canyon, and it's now become a river. Tears of the Kingdom is hopefully going to be a big shake-up of the Breath of the Wild map we all adored, as well as presenting us with a more central antagonist in Ganondorf. Nintendo has a huge opportunity to re-establish the Prince of the Gerudo by having him commit the despicable act of wiping out one of the loveliest places in all of Hyrule. While I'm hopeful that I'll get to explore the ruins of the divine beasts, I'm excited to journey over to the Tabantha region and peer down into the crater of Rito village, and see the scrap pile of a once mighty divine beast, where the most peaceful spot in Breath of the Wild once stood. Although I will admit, it's far more likely and thematic that Rito village was lifted up into the sky. I hope my theory is correct, as it would fit with the darker tone Nintendo has communicated to us in the marketing. It's only a short time until we find out.